Welcome to Drinks in the Library, the only library where drinks aren't just allowed, they are required. I'm your librarian host, Gigi Howard, and each episode I'll be interviewing a guest about a much-loved book that we will be pairing with a drink for you to enjoy along with us or consider for your next book club meetup. As always, stay curious and support your local library. Hello, Libration Nation. I wanted to introduce this episode and just say a few things about it before we get started. In this interview, I am talking to Haley Houghton. She's an educator, a mom, a wife, and a longtime best friend of mine. So we had a blast talking about one of her favorite books, which is probably a lot of your favorite books, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I also wanted to mention that I had a cold in this episode. I had a cold quite a few episodes, but you can really tell in this. So just a heads up, an apology about that. And also, we recorded this back in November, and I'm releasing it now in March. So just, I think at one point we reference that like Christmas is coming, and I just wanted to clarify about that. A little insight to this podcast is I recorded a number of episodes, and then I have been releasing them now in 2024. So anyway, thank you again, everyone, for listening and your support, and I hope you continue to do so, and I hope you help promote this podcast if you're interested in that, and enjoy this episode. It was a lot of fun. So, bye. I'm sitting here in my, well, it's not really my childhood home. It's my teenage and young adult home where my parents moved, with one of my very, very best friends, Haley. Hang on. Are you my Haley Houghton or
Houghton?
Haley?
Yeah.
Haley Houghton, which is your maiden name, but you are married.
I am married.
So I have you in my phone as with your married name, and then like a few years after that, you were like, "No, I'm still going by Houghton." So
I was really just kind of lazy and didn't change it. But
it's a lot of work.
This book is about women's, empowerment, and
it
I
is.
feel
So
like I have the right to keep my name if I want to.
Oh my gosh, that is so Elizabeth Zott of you. So we're reading. What are we reading?
We're reading Lessons in Chemistry. Have you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I read it, I think, about a year ago.
I guess I'm a little behind the times.
Well, it's I think it was like a 2022. It was like the hot book of 2022. Right. So I read it at the very end.
It took like since summer to get it from the library.
Oh,
so
well.
It's still very popular.
It is very popular still. So everybody's reading. And it does have the TV show.
Yes, which I have not watched.
Okay.
Because I don't want to ruin it. Uh-huh. Like sometimes I watch the show or see the movie and then it ruins the book.
Yeah.
Even after you read it, right?
I don't know. Bill and I watch it. It's good. It's, what is it? Brie Larson.
Okay.
Is in it.
Yeah.
And she's good. She's a very like serious person though. I feel like she's like, what if she like listens to this and she's like, how dare she? I'm not a serious person.
Know me.
I'm a silly goose. So anyway, okay. So we also need to talk about our beverage choice today.
Okay. So we are drinking coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So we decided not to start with cocktails, which was another option. So Elizabeth Zott is a chemist.
Yeah.
And in her house, she has this elaborate mechanism for making coffee. Ours is not made with very elaborate mechanism. It's made with an AeroPress. Have you ever had coffee from an AeroPress?
This is my first time. And so you made it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very good. Tell me about the AeroPress. Okay. I mean, do you have more to say?
Yes. So this is actually a portable one. I recommend it for camping.
Do you camp often?
No, but I would like to.
It's aspirational.
Yeah, it's on my vision board, let's say.
Okay.
But it's portable. Anyhow, you just you put the little filter in, and then you steam hot water. I think it tastes better than brewed coffee. I do prefer to make coffee that way, or I just prefer to go to Starbucks. But that's another thing. So you pour the hot water into the little cup over the filter, and then you press this little plastic thing in.
Yeah.
And that.
Well, you were making me nervous when I was watching you make it because I didn't understand how it worked. And I see you pouring in boiling water into like a plastic container, thick, like heavy duty plastic. Yeah. And then you're pressing it. And I was like, is that water going to come up and burn you? So
it all worked out.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are. And it is very good. But yeah, that's
smooth, would you say?
It's very smooth. And I'm not like a dark roast person. Is this a dark roast?
It's pike.
Pike. I think that's like a medium.
Too fancy.
We have an espresso.
Yes.
And I'm like, let's get the hazelnut, the vanilla. Yeah. This time of year they do peppermint. Ooh. I like stock up on the peppermint coffee. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite. So that's what I like. But he's much more like you, likes to do, like we have a French press at home. I never use it.
I want to get a French press.
Yeah.
Got to put that on my Christmas list.
Yeah. Well, there you go. If anyone's listening in.
I'm sure my husband will. My mom, someone will listen.
This is the only way you'll find out. You can't tell him. You're too afraid to tell him. He's going to he hates coffee.
Like a surprise.
Yeah. Does John like coffee?
Yeah, he does. He likes Harris Teeter coffee.
Oh, like the brand?
Yes, yeah.
The HT Traders?
Yeah, HT Traders. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we brew two separate pots of coffee because I like Starbucks, and he likes either Dunkin'. He's a Dunkin' guy, or Harris Teeter, HT Traders.
Wow, that's very like you guys are serious.
Yeah. We should do our thing. You like what you like.
Yeah.
Right?
You're like, I'm
too old to change my mind.
Well, we don't say we're old. We say we're in our prime.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And we are.
And when you know what you like, so this is something that I like about our main character, Elizabeth Zott. She is just like unapologetically her. She is who she is. She likes what she likes. She, is just very much like her own, person. And that's something that I really want to be in this new decade. We just turned 40. So that's one of my goals of this decade, to just
be who you are.
I am, yeah.
I think it is easier the older you get and you just realize you are who you are. And you're probably not going to change that much.
Yeah.
And just be unapologetic about it. Because what the heck are you supposed to do? I think, oh my gosh, there is something about turning 40, or at least there was for me this year with I had a lot happen this year. I had knee surgery, as you know. That's something you and I share. We both have had ACL. Mine was a tennis accident, and yours was a
football accident.
Now tell us, do you often play football?
I do not. It was a teachers versus students charity event. And obviously I was not meant to play football because it just didn't end well for me.
It's the only thing holding you back. You are from a family of athletes.
Yes.
Yes.
I am. And I was not blessed with that gene. I played the piano.
Okay.
I was not meant to be on a field.
Okay.
But anyhow, I also tore my ACL, and it's okay. I would love, I want to tell you that 15 years later, I don't even notice.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm almost there. I am just now to 6 months past my surgery. So I'm almost there. But so going back to turning 40, I found out that I had a torn ACL on my 40th birthday, which I called you crying, so upset. I could barely handle it.
I thought you just called for me to wish you a happy birthday, which I thought was really nice.
You're like, you call me on your birthday? And I'm like, no, this is the worst day ever. And the poor nurse, oh my gosh. So I went to the doctor, And also this is after like months and months of, I don't want to blame the people who sort of misdiagnosed it as nothing, basically, and just, you need to, just get your muscles stronger in that area. So I finally booked an appointment with a sports medicine doctor, and he like comes in, he like shakes my knee basically, and he's like, "You have a torn ACL." And
like that's all it took? You just had to shake it?
Well, this is like a renowned sports medicine doctor. Shout out to Dr. Cutter in Richmond. I don't know.
Love you, Dr. Cutter.
Thank you, Dr. Cutter. He's like I think he does like mostly like student athletes and that kind of thing. And so he came in, he shook my knee. He's like, "I think you got a torn ACL." And I mean, the poor man, I just immediately started bawling. And he hightails it out of the office. And this poor nurse comes back in, and she's trying to comfort me. She's so sweet. Abigail, I think was her name. And I'm like, "It's my 40th birthday too." And she was like, "Are you kidding me? I am so sorry." Anyway, I saw her like a few weeks later to talk about getting my surgery after they'd done the MRI. And she was like, "Did your birthday turn out better?" And I was like, it's fine. I'm fine now. It's kind of a shock at the time.
Yeah, but the good news is you have a solution, right? That was like your birthday
present. I never had surgery before, so it was sort of...
It's scary.
Yeah, it was scary. So, like, all of that happened at the same time, and then, as you know, we lost our dog, and so it was... And Kirky was a gift that I gave Bill, and it turned out to be the day we ended up getting engaged. So... That was our black standard poodle, who I can't talk about too much because then I will start crying. But so all of that happened, and then we had to put Kyrix down. And so it was like very much like a bookend to the beginning of my marriage to now.
Yeah.
And I was like, so now I'm in this whole new era. And so, it is different. It's totally different than when I turned 30. Yeah. It just basically felt
or even
like
20. 20 we're like, yes.
It's not 21, so you're still anyway. So yeah, this year has just been, it's different. Yeah. It's definitely, I'm in a new mental place, and I guess you are as well.
Yeah, and I'm really trying to be. I'm really trying to find more peace, less busyness. Mm-hmm. I just feel like it's so easy to get caught up in busyness, especially with a family and working full time.
Yeah.
And so in this new era, I just want to chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
And not care.
Well, and I think this goes into one of my questions because you just recently read this book. Mm-hmm. So who are you, and who are you with reading this book? Tell us about yourself.
So we already talked about being in our new decade. I'm a mom. Mm-hmm. I'm a wife. I'm a teacher. Mm-hmm. And that pretty much takes up all of my time these days. Yeah. So I'm just trying to, be my best in all of those roles. And I'm trying to make time to read. So that's something that I love to do. Margaret and I had a book club.
Yes.
Exclusive book club. Only,
Only
two
people. People tried to get in. No.
Somebody has to get out before.
One of us has to die before we let anyone into this book club.
And this has been ongoing since probably our 20s. And it was a way for us to keep in touch. When we lived, far distances, we would schedule a book that we would both read and just have a reason to chat. Not that you need a reason, but we both like reading. Mm-hmm. And so since I had kids, just hadn't found much time to read. So I had this 40 before 40 list, and I was going to read 40 books. I shortened it to 20 because, like I said, trying to simplify things and be realistic. And so this summer when I wasn't working, I really started in on my list and then have kept up some momentum.
Oh, good.
So that has been wonderful. And I am grateful that you agree with me that listening to books is reading books.
It is.
That's how I do it these days.
Yeah. I totally understand the people, I get where you're coming from when people say audiobooks isn't reading.
Yeah.
But I think, taking in story is the most important part of it. It's less, if you view reading as a hardship, so much so that it's like a chore, then I don't see how it's enjoyable to read a book. So, but then also the other side of it is people with disabilities. Audiobooks is a way a lot of people who like are visually impaired and other reasons. I mean, it's not just visually impaired, it's also like neurodivergent. Sometimes it's harder for them to take in access. Reading. So, I mean, absolutely. And also there's such an art to audiobook recording. Yeah. I mean, if anything, I've learned now this like process of like doing audio, it's hard.
Yeah.
And like different. Your voice, changes and you have to take care of it. So, I mean, it is art. So sorry.
Yeah. No, not at all. So yeah, I've been listening to audiobooks, and I listened to this one while I was doing chores. I love to listen to podcasts while I'm doing chores or listen to audiobooks because then I can find some joy in kind of the menial tasks of life. So I listened to it while I was painting Mason's room.
Aw, what color?
It's like half of it is my favorite, very neutral beige. And the other half is a really kind of dark sort of teal color.
Oh, I like teal a lot. Is that his favorite color?
No, it's the room was already that color. It's a whole thing. Anyway, I just gave it a fresh coat and like a little brighter coat. And he does really like it. Gives it a little pop. So
he's a sweet kid.
Yeah, he likes books too. Maybe he can come.
I would love that. Annabelle has already been like, when am I going to get to come on your podcast? I'm like, have to talk about a book.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So right now she's reading like Murder in the Garden or something. She's into like spooky stories. Do you remember the Dollhouse Murders? Did you read that? I got that from the library for her.
No, I don't think I ever. I was into Nancy Drew and all the mysteries. I've always loved a good mystery.
Yeah. Well, that's what she's into right now. And I was like, I feel like I'm being that mom now where I'm like, I enjoyed this, so you will enjoy it. And I was like, this book was written in 1983. Like, is it relatable for
There's
whatever
no technology
generation she is? Yeah. I mean, she's not. So our kids are like, they're not even Gen Z, these Zoomers that are coming up.
What do we call them?
I don't think they have a name for the next one. But
maybe Zoomers. Maybe that's it. Maybe you just named them.
No. The Zoomers are Gen Z.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
They are like Z, and then instead of boomer, it's Zoomer.
Oh, okay.
And they're also on Zoom.
Yeah, I thought that's why.
Kids are on Zoom. I don't know.
Yeah, because they had 2 years of their life in school on Zoom.
Yeah. So, and I think that's part of it. So anyway, but yeah, our kids are coming up, and it's like going to be a whole new. We'll find out, I guess. So.
Yeah. We sure will.
We sure will. So anyway, but coming back to you and this book, so you really, or I guess look up to Elizabeth Zott. So tell us, what is the story about?
So Elizabeth Zott, she's our protagonist. She is. I can't tell too many details, right? Because we.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you give.
I'll just give the gist. Yeah.
The gist. Yeah.
So she's a chemist, and this is the 1950s when there are no women in the field. And so she has a hard time being taken seriously by her profession, but she takes herself super seriously, which is something that I really love about her. She knows her worth and who she is, and she just demands that everyone else take her seriously. So some unfortunate events happen, and she's raising a child alone, which is an additional challenge, and she ends up hosting a cooking show, and that's where the majority of the book takes place. And so cooking is perfect for her because she's a chemist, and that's what she wants to portray, although the society at the time wants her to portray this sort of housewife person that really isn't her at all. So there's this conflict between who she's supposed to be and who she is. And she really, like I said, was just unapologetically her. And she gives the audience that, which I think is what women wanted at that time.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's,
yeah. I mean, that is still women struggle with that today I like, what would it take for like just all the effort that we put into our looks and our hair. I mean, even today, just to sit and do this with you, like I put a little makeup on.
You look great.
Oh my gosh, thank you. So do you. I mean, sunscreen first.
Yeah.
You know me and the sun. You got to have your SPF.
Yeah.
And it's not enough just to have it in your makeup, just FYI.
Little PSA.
Yeah, so, but I think that's for men and women. So
Yeah.
I got Bill to wear his SPF.
Oh, good.
So, but yeah, so she's the character, and then the story. What's the vibe of this story?
Yeah, I was thinking, you had asked me the question before, and I was trying to find a good word to capture the vibe. I want to say fun, but when I looked up what's the genre, it's definitely fiction, but it's sort of a tragicomedy is what they call it. And so I want to say fun, but it's not all fun. I would say it's fun, it's real, and it's quirky, which is something else that I really loved about it.
Yeah, so a tragicomedy, that's really interesting. Yeah. So it's funny, it's quirky, but it's like a little dark too. So,
but it's real. The characters are very relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely recommend it. Really for women, but I would say for all audience.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there is definitely a realness with, just like the feminist perspective that I think anybody who is open to women being treated as equal will appreciate. And that doesn't mean you have to be a woman to be open to it.
So fun fact is kind of related. I was reading a little bit about the author, and she said that she wrote this book after she was in a meeting where a man stole her idea.
Really?
And then instead of going back to her office and finishing her job that she was working on, I think it's like she was copyright editing, she decided to write the first chapter of this book, and it became this international bestseller.
Yeah.
She is 65, maybe
Really?
66 now, and she had another book. Her first attempt was rejected 98 times.
Oh my gosh.
She also was sending this message that it's never too late and you got to keep writing.
Oh.
Or doing what you do, whatever it is.
You don't have to
You don't
write.
have to write.
I'll have
If
to write now.
It's not your thing. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that message.
Yeah. Fun little backstory.
We're getting all the backstory. So I hope she writes again.
I do too.
Yeah.
Do you think she will?
I mean, with the
She's set now.
Yeah. I mean, the success of this, she would definitely get some attention. It's interesting, though. So we have a lot of writers sort of like this where, I mean, I doubt maybe her next book could be a sequel to this, which she would like pick up steam.
Yeah.
But we have now, so when we were growing up and still today, you have James Patterson, you have Stephen King, Nora Roberts, Sue Grafton, and they're all sort of like genre.
Yeah.
They write the same book again and again. And I mean,
Jodi Picoult, could we say that?
Jodi Picoult, but I mean, she kind of sticks with the same sort of
pattern almost.
And so that's sort of how you get like a huge following. I mean, James Patterson, I don't know if he realizes, he puts out like 5 books a year.
Wow.
Now, I don't know
if I've ever read one of his books.
I don't think I have. Well, he does a lot of like ghost writing. Like he'll like put a story out there and then he'll get like some author who's trying to make it and they'll actually write the book. But we don't now have like anybody like that really, because you kind of have to stick with the same genre. Like, I mean, if Stephen King came out and wrote like a tragicomedy where there wasn't any horror.
Work.
Yeah, I don't know if people would read it. So anyway, but coming back to this, it's sort of like, what would she write that could get?
What does she do next?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who answers that question. I mean, obviously the authors and the publishers, but
yeah, I hope she does. It reminded me a little bit, like this genre sort of reminded me of, what was that one we read? There were 2 that we read that it really reminded me of. had sunglasses on the front. Where did Bernadette go? Where'd you go,
Oh,
Bernadette?
where'd you go, Bernadette? Yes.
It had that kind
Oh
of
my
vibe.
gosh, so funny.
And there was another one, like Eleanor and
Oh,
the
Eleanor Oliphant is
porcupine.
completely fine.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought about a porcupine. Maybe it just rhymes.
Well, no, you
With
and I
fine.
also read for our book club, The Elegance of the Porcupine.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all have this sort of quirky but serious vibe. And
Yeah.
I really like that. I don't know if those would be considered tragicomedy. That was really the first time I heard that term, although I think it's like what Shakespeare did. So I don't think that it's a new thing, but
Yeah, just like a new format.
yeah.
You should be like the purveyor, like you should start a blog and you just do
Tragicomedy.
Tragicomedy with Haley Houghton.
Yes.
You're like, I'm an
We
expert.
could do movies. We could do books.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot out there.
Do real life stories.
Ooh. I mean, isn't life a tragicomedy?
Right. Now you're going deep.
Oh. It's getting too dark here. I guess we have read a lot of like stuff like that. So my last question is, and you already said it, I guess, but like, who would you recommend the story to? And you said women for
sure. Yeah, but I would recommend it to anybody. I just feel like it's a good story. It really captivates you. There's there's surprises that we haven't revealed, and we won't. And so
I pay money for the reveal.
Yes, next episode for subscribers only. I really do recommend it to anybody, but I do particularly think women would love it, and I want to say moms, but I don't think that it has to be. I think that any women can hear this message and appreciate the message. And really just appreciate this character who just is who she is, and that's why we love her.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and treating me to this delicious cup of coffee.
You're so welcome.
I'm now fully caffeinated and ready to go because I have a child's birthday party to host this afternoon. So, oh my gosh.
Yay,
anyway,
that's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Well, I can't wait to be back with whatever the sequel is.
Yes, you will. Yeah, you will definitely be back, if nothing else, so we can discuss whatever we read for our book club next.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending some time with me and my guest for an episode of Drinks in the Library. For more information about the show, you can find us on Instagram at Drinks in the Library, on the World Wide Web, drinksinthelibrary.com, or shoot me an email at drinkspod@gmail.com. Until next time, cheers.